Alabama beat South Carolina yesterday. So what did they win? An SEC football game, 27-25. And Meemaw probably put it best to describe this game when Meemaw said, sometimes you run a red light and you don't have to pay the price. Whomst amongst us hasn't run a red light before, and then you're clean on the other side and you realize, oh man, I just ran a red light. Oh, I just ran through a stop sign. Whew, am I lucky? Alabama football yesterday. The four Chalai game. Did we see this coming? Four Chalai. Bama ran a red light yesterday. They ran one against Vandy and got splattered all over the place. They ran one against South Carolina too, and they didn't have to pay the price. A lot of people are confused by this. A lot of people are saying, what's wrong with Alabama? Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong. There's not a great team. Bama's a pretty good team. Pretty good teams have periods of greatness. You saw it in the first half against Georgia. Pretty good teams have periods of really, really subpar performance as well, and you've seen that. Now, here's the difference. Great teams have periods of pretty good. Great teams do not have periods of subpar performance. The great elite teams, Bama has been one several years, they don't have games where they're just terrible. But if you're just a good team, you can have periods of greatness and you can have periods of terrible. And so if you're wondering how the same team that ran it up on Georgia in the first half could play the second half they did, could play the USF game the way they did, could play Vandy, could play South Carolina, Bama's just a good team. They're not a great team. They're a good team. So that explains all that. The wildest few minutes that we probably saw yesterday came in this fourth quarter, and yet it's not even the wildest fourth quarter that they've seen in that stadium this season because of what happened against Georgia. Jeremy Bernard could have ended this game. There was a play, most of you were watching the game. Jeremy Bernard, on fourth down, they end up finding him over the middle and could have just gone down and ended the game. He did not. He went and scored, made it 27-19. Then all hell broke loose, and it was unbelievable. I was live on CBS Sports HQ, so let me paint the picture for you. Emily Proud is down in Fort Lauderdale anchoring. I'm in Autzen Stadium. Damian Harris, Cannell, Cardell Jones, and myself are live. And it's one of those things where we don't have the broadcast rights to the game, so we're all watching it on a side monitor. It's just fascinating television, watching a bunch of people watch a game, and we're reacting. And so it was a very surreal experience. So you get Jeremy Bernard scores, and then South Carolina goes down the field. And, I mean, Nick Harbor shows up as big as any moment in his career so far, gets a toe down, and then they miss the two-point conversion. Sigh of relief, not so fast. Onside kick, handled horrifically by Alabama. South Carolina recovers, and then they still can't get it done because they throw a pick. Ball game, 27-25. They live to fight. They live to fight another day. Kind of like LSU. You know, I said LSU, you hadn't cut the head off the snake. So the snake is still living. It's still got a chance to bite you. Bama's the same way. They hadn't cut the head off of it yet. They only have one loss. So it's still breathing. It's still alive. Them not being able to run the ball surprises me because they thought that would be a strength of this team. And they got outrushed again yesterday. I mean, the defense, very, very mixed bag of results. There are moments where it's attaboy time. And then there are other moments where it's like, do we even know how to spell fundamentals on this team? It's just weird. Very Jekyll and Hyde. It was a tough day for South Carolina, man. It's been a tough year for South Carolina because if you look at what they've done, they've lost by 2 to Bama on the road. They lost by 3 at home in candidly, a game that officials probably stole from them a few weeks ago up in Columbia. And then they got shut down against Ole Miss, and that game started so weird that it was over by mid-second quarter. Not a bad team. Not a bad team. They went and pantsed Kentucky. They've played okay. Now they go to Oklahoma, and they got A&M, they got Vandy, and they got Missouri, and they got Clemson, and I don't doubt they can be competitive. But you're looking at 3-3 right now, and you know good and well you could have been 4-2 or 5-1, but you're not. And now the season could be salvaged. It could go off the rails. This is the inflection point for South Carolina. For Alabama, it is a man-maker week. It is a show-me week. It is third Saturday in October. It is on the road at Tennessee. And the thing about Bama is that first half against Georgia was real. It wasn't a mirage. It was real. But the Vandy game was real. And the first 3 quarters against South Florida were real. And this, whatever you want to call it yesterday, was real. It's all in the deck of cards. If you spread the deck of cards that is Alabama this year, and you blindly pick one, you could pick a dominating win. You could pick the Vandy game. Like, you could pick anything in between because they're not a great team. And so very, very simply, anything and everything is in play here. The question becomes, as we see every year, some of these teams, 2 or 3 of them, are going to scale up their performance, and by late November, we will be saying about them, wow, they looked average a couple of weeks ago, and now all of a sudden, look at them. No one wants to play them now. That could be Tennessee. That could be LSU. That could be Alabama. That could be any of a number of teams in the equation this year. That's why we play the games.